Hey Marlon, from your perspective as a cornerback, how do you see this new duo, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase?
They look really good. I think Chase has added a lot of juice to their offense, along with I think you know all their guys just kind of all the receivers just seems to me they just stepped up a notch and really taken it, put a lot of weight on their shoulders to we're gonna run this offense. So they're definitely a new duo there, but kind of almost like a new just fully revamped offense.
I imagine you watched Jamar during that 2019 season when he was so good for LSU. Is he doing the same kind of stuff in the NFL that he was able to do in college?
Yeah, it's actually been really surprising. He's really made the NFL look pretty easy. I know it's of course a lot better players, but he really hasn't. It really hasn't been many speed bumps in the road. It seems like being that Joe and him played in college together, it's not really a new relationship. So it seems like they're like a 50-year tandem that they've been doing it for a while. That's kind of how easy it's looked on film.
Marlon, John Carvel said on Monday that he felt like the whole defense looked calmer and everybody just seemed to fit better with Josh Bynes in the middle. Did you see that on Sunday?
Yeah, there were definitely times when we all gelled really well with Josh in there, but I think even with PQ or whoever was in there, I think the biggest thing we took just a more relaxed approach that I felt we weren't taking early on in the season with the defense. We were just taking it. I think we all just came to the realization that we're better than what we are. We're just all kind of sometimes just panicking. So we try to take a step back, still bring the same energy, bring the same juice, but just kind of take a more relaxed approach and be like, let's just execute the defense, and we'll be fine.
How has your leadership style changed from coming in as a first-round draft pick to being an all-pro and then dealing with everything you've dealt with this past year? Has it moved? And
I think, I guess when Marcus went down, he was such a big part of the defense. He spoke a lot. I think I've said before, he used to talk to me, a lot, telling me different things. Hey, watch out for shots, watch out for this. I've kind of tried to kind of do that a little bit with me and Ant, and just secondary and defense as a whole, kind of just being a little bit more vocal now that MP wasn't there to do those things. I've kind of tried to pick up a little bit of slack that I could pick up there with Marcus being out. So I think it's changed a little bit from that right at the end of training camp injury to now.
You had a big forced fumble that got returned for a touchdown against the Bengals at M&T Bank last year. How much are you looking forward to your first fruit punch of this season?
Yeah, man, I haven't had much luck in the turnover department this year, so it'd be a good homecoming to get my hands on some footballs this week.
Marlon, regarding that game last year against Cincinnati here, how much do you recall about that game and how close you were to shutting them out?
I actually haven't rewatched that game here in the game preparation, but I remember it was a really good game. It seemed like one of those games when everything kind of went right. The blitzes hit, the coverages hit, So I think this is a much more experienced team now. So we expect to have a good game, but that was probably just one of those games that happens every 2 to 3 years. So a lot different team, but I'll look back on that film and see what we did right and see what we can kind of replicate and go from there.
When you're looking at Joe Burrow, what's kind of jumping out at you when watching him on film?
Big thing that I see is, he'll stay in there and take a hit. He's not one of those quarterbacks that are really scared to get hit. He'll take off and run as well. And another thing is when he throws the football deep, he really lets it fly. He's not one of those quarterbacks that, kind of halfway throw the fade, kind of throw the fade out of bounds, kind of like if my receiver catches it. He really puts the ball in a position where his guy can make a play, and he's very confident. I think that's something I noticed when he was beating up on Alabama. So he's very confident. That's one of the things I've seen since college and along with the league.
That confidence something you can take advantage of as a defensive back, that maybe he thinks he could do something he probably shouldn't?
Sometimes it all just depends. Joe's just one of those quarterbacks that he picks his guy over yours. He does that very, very often. So just know you got to be on your A game because whether you're in position, out of position, mainly when you're in position, a lot of times as a corner, think, oh, I got this guy covered so well that he's not going to throw this ball. But he's one of those guys. It's like, I think my guy's better than yours. So when you got a matchups like that, you get excited, but you just got to know you got to always just be ready, no matter how good you think you have a guy covered.
When guarding a guy like Jamar Chase, and he gets over top of defenses so often, how do you balance being aggressive with him at the line and making sure he doesn't just get around you?
Yeah, watching film, like I said earlier, he's been able to make it look really easy. I think when you got a guy with that type of speed and, a guy that I think he's top 5 in the league right now in receiving yards, you just got to change up different looks on him, whether, depending on the defense, know what you can take advantages of and different man techniques and different things. But the biggest thing with him, you really want to stay on top because he has that. It's like when the ball goes up in the air, he kind of takes him to another gear. So really got to be careful with him. He's definitely a young receiver, but he's looking like a vet pretty early.
Marlon, how bizarre is it that it's October 20th and this is the first division game?
That has actually been a little strange. But when I've looked at it, it's a little strange, but I think I don't know. I don't think it really matters too much. Just a little strange because it seems like the AFC. This is really the game to figure out where it's going to go, who's kind of going to be in that front. So it's a big game for us in our division.
I know you're probably one of Ronnie's closest friends on the team. After all he went through on rehabs, how has the past month been for you and for him after him now being placed on IR?
It's definitely been rough for Ronnie. I know he's one of those guys that hasn't really let his own circumstance really affect his energy in the building. He's still showing up, talking to the guys, giving tips, coming to the games. So it takes a true leader to be able to do that. He's a guy that battled back. I was with him some in the summer. He was every day. He was faithful with the rehab he was doing, even when we were kind of on vacation. So it's one of those guys that it sucks to see him go through that, and we'll be with him as a team and hold him, keep him close to our hearts as he goes through his surgery and his recovery.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.